Are you struggling to get your app off the ground and start making money? I recently got an app to the number 5 most sold spot in the App Store. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can do the same. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ivan and I'm a business owner and entrepreneur from Bulgaria. And on this channel, we explore the tools and strategies to build profitable apps without going crazy. This is going to be one of my longer videos, so if you don't want to listen till the end, here's the short version. There's 3 main areas that you need to focus on: product, user acquisition, and user engagement. In plain English, you need a high value solution to a problem. You need to get enough people to start using your solution, and you also need to make sure that they're getting the best value out of it in order to earn their loyalty. And that's it. Now let's start zooming in on these 3 focus areas. First, we start with a product. If you don't have a great product, all the other things that we're going to be talking about don't really matter. So this is the main thing you need to focus on. This is the main thing you need to start with. And this is probably the part where most people fail, because they think they have a great product, but at the end of the day, it's probably not that great if it's not already doing good or doing all right in terms of downloads, revenue, and everything else, all the other meaningful metrics. Now, building products is a huge topic, and we can focus more on that in later videos. But now we're gonna just look at the fundamentals. The biggest products on the market when it comes to software or actually anything else usually fall into one of 3 categories. They either solve a big problem to a small group of people, or they solve a small problem to a big group of people, or they solve a big problem for a big group of people. Okay? Make sense? Unfortunately, most of these take a lot of resources to develop, which means that they're pretty risky, especially if you're building an app for the first time. So what I recommend is actually working a different angle. Start with a small problem for a small group of people. And of course, you can always stop there, but just be aware that you're probably not gonna have a massive app if you stop at a small problem for a small group of people. If you wanna go further, start with a small niche, aka small group of people. Solve a small problem for them first. Then start solving more small problems for the same small group of people, and or increase the size of the group of people. So you start with a small problem for a small group of people, and then you either add more small problems for that same group of people, or you increase the size of the group while also increasing the size of the problems that you're solving, or the number of small problems that you're solving. So it doesn't have to be start with a small problem and then all of a sudden you move to big problems. It could be an ongoing process of adding more small problems to the set of features that your product does. Example, let's say you want to build an appointment setting app for plumbers. Ideally, you would start with an appointment setting app for plumbers in your hometown or even in your own neighborhood. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole town if it's a big city. So start with really niche down as much as possible. And this is just an example. It's probably a bad example, but anyway, the point is niche down as much as possible. Essentially, go to a small group of people, potentially people that you have access to locally. This is going to be your initial small niche. And once you have enough of the plumbers in your app, you can start adding more features to your solution. You can start solving more small problems for them. Let's say they need a CRM, they need email marketing. Let's say they need invoicing, they need payments, maybe they need something else. So start solving more small problems for your selected group of people. This would hopefully and almost naturally lead to more plumbers using your application to start setting their appointments. Once you have enough plumbers using enough of the features, you can always start adding more segments to the people that you're targeting. Let's say you want to add electricians, maybe you want to add gardeners, maybe you want to add cleaning services, babysitting services, dog walking services. Maybe your niche expands to every service that requires the person delivering the service to go to the home or the apartment of the person ordering the service in order to deliver. Okay? Makes sense? Awesome. Step 2, now that you have a great product, it's time to think about how you're gonna acquire users. So user acquisition is something that you can do in multiple ways, but there are of course some ways that work better than others depending on what is the app that you're offering, what is the niche that you've selected, what is the product and everything else. But the two ways to do user acquisition fall into two buckets. It's either paid or organic. That's it. Now, some channels like, let's say, TikTok and other social media can be both organic and paid channels at the same time. One major benefit of having a mobile app compared to web apps is that we have the app stores to our disposal. The app stores are a great acquisition channel in themselves, so make sure you also figure out how to use them to your advantage. For most countries, in the app stores, you also have very good options to use them as paid channels as well. Nonetheless, the main sources for paid app downloads are still Facebook and Google. TikTok is also advancing like crazy. On all social media platforms, you have the ability to also work with influencers, which also falls into the bucket of paid user acquisition. As mentioned, both the Apple App Store and Google Play have very good paid ad options as well. For organic acquisition, the number one channel is currently TikTok, which is closely followed by organic user acquisition in the app stores themselves. If you've heard of App Store Optimization or ASO, so this is targeted towards maximizing the organic acquisition in the app stores directly. So with all these options, we have paid, we have organic, we have social media, we have the app stores, we have other channels which I haven't mentioned. Which one to choose in order to succeed in the app store? If you're just starting out and you don't have an audience yet, the one thing that I would definitely advise you to do is to use organic TikTok. Now, this social media is the place to go if you're looking for organic reach and organic awareness, attention. So anything that's organic, that's currently TikTok. Even if you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to learn and you can quickly test different strategies and figure out which one works for you and which doesn't work for your specific case. TikTok also has the amazing benefit that you can do anything on a relatively small budget. So you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to get great results on TikTok with organic. And the way to go in the beginning is to start, of course, doing most of the work yourself. If you're not great at doing it, maybe you can also think about outsourcing some of it to, I don't know, Fiverr or Upwork or some other marketplace where you can get it done cheaply for you. Just understand that it's going to take a while to find a good supplier for what you're looking for. And once you find something that works, and in our case, works means converts to downloads, you can always go ahead and start creating more of that type of content and start using it as paid ads. So first of all, you create the content as organic, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then make more of the stuff that works and also use it in paid ads as well. Another great strategy to use on TikTok is, again, after you found the type of content that works for your specific case, is to also start working with influencers, as this is an amazing source of organic reach as well. Now, all of the ones that we've mentioned so far are mass marketing channels, meaning these are the places where you go to get a lot of downloads at the same time. There's also, of course, smaller group strategies, and this could be more viable for your specific case. Going back to our appointment setting app for plumbers in our local area. Now imagine how easy it will be to find a list of all plumbers that are actively working in your area and start contacting them one by one in order to promote your app to them. You can use cold emailing, you can do cold calling. Both work great if you're doing it right. And there's also great resources online on how to do it right. And this should make it easy to start onboarding your first customers. Once you have done the onboarding, you can figure out a deal with them, provide them the service for free in exchange for some user-generated content where they show how they use the app, they point out the benefits of using the app compared to not using the app, they share a little bit of their struggles before using the app and how now they've solved it. So just ask them for some good, doesn't have to be some crazy production value content, just something that you can use for more user acquisition with these now basically testimonials that are coming to you for free. Sound good? Let's keep rolling. Now, the last part that we need to talk about is engagement. User engagement is the last on my list, but this is potentially the last on most app developers' lists, and it gets wildly overlooked. But at the same time, it brings by far the best results in terms of maximizing the potential of your app and maximizing the potential of the people that download your app. So now imagine you have this very good product, you have found a great channel to acquire users, the users download your app just for you to find out that they're actually not using it, they don't want to pay for it, and yeah, it's a disaster, it's a mess. Believe me, I've been there multiple times and I know it hurts a lot to go through all that work just to get to the point where people actually don't use your product and they don't like your product, they don't want to pay for it. So in order for users to be engaged with your product, they need to start trusting you. So engagement is all about trust, providing great value, and building meaningful relationships by collecting user feedback basically all the time. And the part which gets the most results by far is the feedback loop. So think of your app as a constant test case where you tweak different parameters to see what works and what doesn't work. And the beauty of software is that you can perform these tests at close to real-time speeds and for very little money upfront, which automatically translates to very low risk. And in order for this to work for you, you need to feed the feedback loop with two streams of information. Number one is your event tracking. Number two is your user feedback. Event tracking is passive, user feedback is active, and you need both. You then analyze both, make informed decisions about stuff that you have to change. You then change it and start performing a new test in order to figure out if that's better, if that solved the issue for your users, and if you can move on to the next thing you want to change and test. We can go into more details about how to collect user feedback properly and how to do event tracking properly in a different video. Now again, going back to our example with our plumber appointment setting app for our local area, we need to start analyzing the behavior of our plumber users and start asking them for feedback. The best type of feedback is with an in-app survey that pops in a meaningful event in your user journey, like the one that you see on screen here. Let's say your plumber users get stuck on a specific screen or on a specific action, and obviously they're not moving forward, or at least a lot of them are not moving forward. So you can trigger a survey at that specific moment and try to understand what is the reason why they're having issues? What is the reason why they're not moving forward with the user journey? And if you keep iterating in that fashion, you're gonna end up eventually with basically no problems to solve more. One mega hint here when asking for user feedback is to not just ask for generic feedback. Ask for specific feedback and make sure you give your users a few options to select from when giving them any type of question. Don't only give them an open question, because most of the time they will get lost and not actually know what to answer, what to give you as information. So yeah, after this relatively long presentation, I hope it wasn't too boring, but this is what it takes to build a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure app. And if you look at any of the big apps on the market, this is exactly what they did in the beginning. Uber started as a simple ride-hailing app with just 3 cars in one area of New York. Instagram was a simple photo sharing app which made your crappy iPhone photos look not so crappy. And it was actually a location check-in app called Bourbon before it became Instagram. Airbnb was a simple website with maps on it that was used to rent out the founders' air mattresses because they didn't have money to pay rent. They all ended up being massive companies, but all of them share the same very humble beginnings. And that is why I advise you to do the same. As always, guys, thank you very much for paying attention. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next one. Bye.